Good morning and happy Wednesday to you. In this video, I want to talk about guarding your heart. In Proverbs 4:23, it tells us, above all, guard your heart because the issues of life flow from it. And when it comes to being an empathetic person, when it comes to being someone who is very loving and very sweet and kind and compassionate, that is a wonderful thing for relationships in general. But specifically when it comes to romantic relationships, this can be problematic when we have difficulty because of our anxious attachment connecting to relationships that we should never have been involved in, that we never should have entered into, that we are staying in because of trauma bonding, that we are staying in because we just don't want to be alone, that we are staying in because we have a complex of wanting to save this person and thinking that we can rescue them. It can be very problematic for us. So it's important that we guard our hearts. We need to be aware of our emotions. We need to be in control of our emotions and have emotional intelligence. We can be very loving, compassionate, of course, kind. We want to have the fruits of the Spirit. In general, these are going to be wonderful qualities to have in terms of relationships. But romantically, we have to be very mindful. That is why, as I talked about yesterday, it's important to have wisdom, and not just wisdom, but discernment. Wisdom is the principal thing, Proverbs 4:7. Therefore, get wisdom, in all you're getting, get understanding. It's important that we exercise wisdom. And one of the things that we really need to know is who we are emotionally. See, in attachment theory, and I have studied attachment theory for years, and then more recently, before becoming a coach, that was part of the studies, part of the curriculum is studying attachment styles. So for an anxiously attached person, someone who perhaps did not have enough love and attention from mom or dad or both, may feel this overriding desire to be in a relationship, to feel love and validation, to the point of being involved sometimes in toxic and or dysfunctional relationships. So we have to be very mindful of what is in our heart, the guarding our heart, being aware of what is in our heart, of what is happening with our emotions, of being in control of our emotions, having emotional control, stability, emotional intelligence. Because what can happen is that if we have this desire that's so strong to be in a relationship at any cost, by any means necessary, that can lead us into relationships that God never intended for us to be involved in. We can become involved and embroiled in relationships that are toxic, dysfunctional, one-sided, relationships that really stunt us, that really keep us stagnant, where we're not able to progress overall. And being loving, of course, and compassionate and giving is great in relationships in general. But in the romantic realm, it's important that we not get embroiled in a relationship that is not one that God intended for us to be in. And God will send us warning signs. But if we have a system, if we have a style within us, an attachment style that says, I want this relationship no matter what, we may very well override all of the red flags that God sends us. We may sidestep them, jump right over them, because we want this relationship so much. Because again, this goes back to our attachment style. Our attachment style, if it is an anxious one, wants a relationship at all costs. And it can put us in not only spiritual problems, it can give us physical problems, mental health problems. In some cases, it can put our entire life in peril because we are in a relationship that is toxic, dysfunctional, unhealthy. And it's important that if we do have an anxious attachment style where we feel like we are not loved, we weren't loved as a child, that we are looking for love in all the wrong places, that we are looking for love by any means necessary romantically, specifically, where we are prone to get involved in relationships that are dysfunctional, that we be healed of that we ask the Lord to heal us And it's a good thing to also talk to a counselor if that is something that will help move you along in your journey of becoming healthier and having healthy relationships. But we also have to make the choice that we want to change. So guarding our heart, being mindful of what is in our heart, being mindful of what it is that is driving us, being mindful when we have this anxiousness in us to be in a relationship in a rush and then to stay in a relationship that is unhealthy just to say we have a relationship. That ultimately works against us because, again, we can be involved in a relationship that has made our life stagnant, where we're just going in circles. We can't move forward. It may be abusive. It may not involve abuse, but it may be, again, very unhealthy. It may be a relationship that we know that we need to move on from, but we refuse to do it. Because again, our attachment style or our trauma bonding is causing us to stay mired in a relationship that has expired, and really one that we never should have entered into. And that's why it's critical for us that are believers, that are followers of Christ, to not just ask for guidance in all the other facets of our life, but to ask for guidance when it comes to relationships before we get caught up, before we get attached to someone, before we allow them into our heart. Asking, is this the relationship that you would have for me to be in? Is this who you would have me to be aligned with? We may not like the answer, but we need the answer. We should want the answer because God knows all of us. He knows our past, present, and future. And he knows what someone's intentions, true intentions towards us are, true motivations. And if this person really has a heart for us, a loving, kind, giving heart towards us, or whether there is something that is not from God, something that is toxic, something in them that is not going to provide a healthy relationship because of their character, because of their emotions not being in control, them not having emotional control, emotional stability, maybe a lot of irrational thinking, just being someone that is not going to be a good match, where we will not be living in harmony, walking in harmony together. In Amos 3:3, it says, can two walk together except they be agreed? This is critical in any facet of your life where you are partnering with someone, but certainly in a romantic relationship, to be walking in concert with someone who has the same aspirations in terms of how they want a relationship to proceed, and in terms of having a healthy mindset, a loving mindset, a giving mindset, being able to look to other people's needs as well as their own. So it's important that we take our time. It's important that when God is sending us red flags and warnings, that we're mindful, that we not rush into relationships just to say we have a relationship, because sometimes it can be very easy to get into and more challenging to get out, unfortunately, because the person may have severe instability and may have a hard time letting go of the relationship. But this is why it's important for us to have a peaceful mindset, to have a mindset of contentment, to have a mindset where we are not living anxiously. The word tells us in Philippians to be anxious for nothing. So that applies to all facets of our life, to not be living in anxiety. And certainly when it comes to love relationships, we are already inherently loved by God. He has already made us not only worthy of love, but we already are loved. So we don't have to go looking for love in all the wrong places. We don't have to feel desperate or anxious about love. We can rest in the fact that we are already loved. And if we have those wounds from childhood that are unhealed, we can seek out a licensed professional that can help guide us through the process of strengthening ourselves emotionally. But also, again, recognizing that we do not have to rush. We do not have to feel desperate. We do not have to jump into any relationship. We do not have to look for love in any old place. We can certainly take our time. We can use wisdom and discernment. And we can start with asking God before we even enter a relationship, is this the person that you have for me? Is this who you would want me to be with? Is this going to be a relationship that's pleasing to you? Is this a relationship that's going to not be diametrically opposed to what my purpose and my assignment is? We should not be living in anxiety when it comes to romantic relationships. But that is why we should ask God and talk to God first. Trust in the Lord with all our hearts and lean not on our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge Him, and He'll direct our paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. Because remember, He knows everything in advance, and He knows when someone is rightly aligned for us or is going to be an impediment to our purpose.